Hi everyone, you're here with Ordinath, and today we're going to play City of Gangsters. So City of Gangsters is a game that is set in the Prohibition era in the United States, and you play a crime boss, I guess, or at least someone who's hoping to become a crime boss, and obviously carrying out illegal activities and growing your gang and doing all those sorts of cool things. Anyway, let's get started. So today we're going to be on the Chicago map, so it's kind of the standard base game map. I have got the DLC, but we'll play the vanilla game today. And we can pick lots of different nationalities, so these are the DLC nationalities that sort of have special things with them, but we'll just play a vanilla one today, and we're actually picking American. So let's have a look. We've got Henry Richardson. Alright, Willard Russell. He looks like a bit of a bad boy. Let's give him a hat. Hats are important. I'm not sure about that. That's good. Okay. Yeah, alright, let's go with that. Now, there's lots of different skills you can pick. You can kind of go random, or there are different things you can do. But my preference is to go for protection rackets. I like that passive income, and also expanding is an important part of the game in terms of getting gang size and making sure that you can grab enough territory. So we'll go with protection rackets. And then what kind of goes with that is the delicate flower, because it gives you the trait friendly, and friendly ensures that when you do extort people, you don't cause quite as much trouble. So we'll go with that. So here we are, Willard Russell, and he's now arrived in Chicago at age 22, and let's see if we can make our way in the criminal underworld. Staying with my aunt Mildred. Of course I am. So, in City of Gangsters, starting position and where you are in the city, who's around you is really, really important. So, we've started here on the eastern edge of the city, and it looks like we've got one sort of hoodlum gang near us. So that's kind of good. I don't see any direct rivals right around us, so that's quite good. Now, first things first, we want to really look at what we've got in our starting property. So if you shift and left click, that will open up the property, or if you just left click, it will open up the property. So this is a small lumberyard, and our lumberyard is going to produce stoneware crocks. So this is fine. I guess it also produces labels which are used later for bottled wine, but the most important thing is the crocks. So we don't have a base product for a particular type of alcohol. Everything goes in crocks, so that's kind of interesting. And then if we look what's in the storage, we've got 70 brick wine and 25 moonshine. So that'll be the first things to sell. Now, in terms of working out what we want to sell, you go up here to the resource overlay, or the Z key. You can bring that up. Now, we've got brick wine, so we'd be interested in knowing where brick wine is, and moonshine. So they're sort of the starting ones, and then if we hit this favorites, that means that every time we press Z, it will show us those things only. So at the moment, we only really know where there's some brick wine to sell. The other important thing to do is to decide where to start expanding our territory. So at the moment we only have one corner under our control, and until we get 5 we can't hire anyone or really kind of progress the game. So one of the first things we really want to do is get 5 corners under our control. Now, because we're going to try and have a pretty solid protection racket, what I'm going to do is try and pick a corner that has on its adjacent corners lots of businesses to extort money from. So if we have a look here, So what I'm going to do is click on my guy and press the, or I can press the 1 key. When you put your cursor on a particular corner, the businesses that are on that corner highlight. So as you can see, there's 2 businesses on this corner. There is 1 business on this corner. There's 2 businesses on this corner. There's only my base here, and there's 1 business on this corner. So if I built a front here, it would use up this 1 shop on the corner, because that's got to be the front, and then I would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 businesses I could extort, which is okay. The other options we've got, really, it's not really a lot of other options. There's this one here, which doesn't really have any shops adjacent to it. We could go up here, but we can't see what's on these corners, and we want to kind of get going as quickly as possible. So I think the best option is going to be to use this American cannery. Already has 2 favors, so you need a favor to open a front, so that's something we'll do, and then we'll see where we go from there. Now we also need some money. Usually it's can be anywhere from sort of $100 to $200, depending what your favor is with a person and your character traits. So I'll take my 150. I'll take my brick wine. Don't need the baseball bat at the moment. We'll take our 40 brick wine and we'll go and sell some of those, and then we'll see if we can't open a front. So first things first, our brick wine is here at the Chrysanthemum hand wash. So I'll move across there. And if you hold down shift and left click, you'll get it straight away into the selling menu. So we've got the owner here, who's Catherine Lindgren, and I'll go, I want to sell brick wine, and then offers to buy at $15 per crock. Now we obviously want to get the best price early in the game, because we're not even producing anything yet. So because we've got sufficient opinion, I guess, with us, we can use some of that to actually get a better margin. So we'll go for 20% over the price, which is the best we can do, and then they live with it. So now we're going to get $18 a crock, and then of course we've got some in the car, so we'll say I might have some in the car right now, and they're going to buy 14 crocks, which will give us $252. So we go through the offer to sell, and now you can see up here that this term we've made $252 through buying and selling, and we now have $402. So we'll go, I'll see you around. Now if you've got up here your, I guess, sort of outline menu. Here's us, Willard, and we're in our 2-door car. We've got 2 action points and 9 movement points, and if we click on this outline, it'll actually open up and give us a bit more information. So the traits for the character, if they've got any experience, they've got any skills, and then what they have in their vehicle. You can also see the condition of the vehicle here, but eventually if it goes too low, you'll get a little bar here underneath. There's also some buttons up here that you can kind of use contextually. So this one gives you information on a particular corner. So if you click that, it tells you what the corner is, kind of who owns it, what's the ethnicity, which officer, is in charge of it, from which precinct, and whether or not they're paid off or not. You can always press this button to go to where they are on the map. So if you press that, you'll go to Officer Beaton. If you press that, you go to the Russell outfit. You can focus the view on the corner that you're on, and you can also get information about that crew member. So if you open up the crew member dialogue, you can have a look here. You can see what they've done in terms of criminal history, how far they've gone. You can also see where they fit in the organisation that they're in and what their relationships are. Obviously, we're the boss, gives you some sort of interesting info. If you want, you can change their clothing. You can change their hat in here as well, just for good measure. So that gives you an idea about those dialogues. Anyway, we've made our money, so let's go and open up our corner. Now, one thing I didn't check was whether or not this person is going to do it. So if they have the trait upright, which this person doesn't have, so Grace doesn't have upright, they'll be fine to open something up for you. But if a character does have upright, then they will not open up a front for you because they don't feel they can. So you've often got to check that, because sometimes you'll end up in a position where you have you've got a plan and you think, oh, great, I'm going to open up this corner and that fits perfectly with my setup, and all of a sudden you realise you can't. So the way to open up a corner is we go through we talk to them and we go through the dialogue that is the favours dialogue. So if you've got a good relationship and you've said that you'd be willing to help me out however you can, let's talk about that. You click on that. Anything for a friend, what can I help? We want this one here, which is the envelope. Our outfit wants to expand our territory and take over this part of the city, so this will open up a front for us. So we click on that and they say, what's this all about? And you say, well, it's simple, we'll get people on our side and then we'll throw some money around and look like great people. And they say, sure do. What happens then? And then once people know us and we control an area, we're going to start milking them for money. So at this point, this is the how much it's going to cost. So this person has quite a good relationship with us. They know us from back in the day, so they're obviously a relative or a friend of the family. So it's only $120 to open this one. So we'll click on that. And they say, oh, yes or no. Now, they're not upright, so they'll say yes. And then you spend one favour to and you $120, and that'll open up the front. And so now we've opened up a corner. Now, it's important you still have a spare action at this point, because what we want to do is we now want to expand our territory. So we want to start expanding onto these other corners and get to 5 as quickly as possible. So they say it'll be a pleasure, and you say sure, your loyalty will be rewarded. And now we go to this one. We want, let's talk about the locals. I need to expand my territory out here. And then they say, oh, I have an idea of what to do. So it'll zoom into the next block that they intend on taking. So it's a bit of a shame I went to this one, because it's only got one on here, and it'd be better if we could, start our protection racket and milking some more money off a couple. But it is what it is. It's just random. And they say, oh, they know you're on the corner, but how about we invite some neighbours for a little meet and greet? So it says it'll cost you $8 right away, and then $8 on the first of every month. You say, great idea, I'll give you $8 every month to pay for a buffet. So then you press on that. And now they go, consider it done. So now it'll take some time, and depending on their personality traits, as to whether or not it takes a certain time or not. So some traits in NPCs allow them to take over corners more quickly. Grace doesn't have any of those, but that's fine. So we say, I will see you round. So now we're at the stage where you get these, I'll just talk quickly about these notifications up here. So at the start of each turn, and then when you take actions during each turn, you'll get these notices. So this one is, well, these two notices are because we just took control of a corner when we set up our front, and then because we're expanding control of a corner. So if you want to see where that happened, you left click and it'll highlight it, and if you right click, it'll dismiss the notification. So now we're coming to the end of the first turn, and we've got 7 movement points left. So the question is, what are we going to spend our movement points on? So say we could spend it on a range of things, but what we really want to do is get ready for the next turn. So in the next turn, we'd probably like to sell some more of the booze we've got lying around, but as we saw before, we only know one place to sell it, and we've already sold stuff there, so they don't want it. But down here, you'll see that one of the people who owes us favours, so any of these businesses that have this little red hand with the red envelope owes us a favour. And it's also got the icon down here of 2 people with an arrow, which says they know someone who might be useful. So you can utilise a favour to find out somebody who either wants to buy or sell things to you that'll be useful. So in this case, it will be, where can we sell certain alcohol? So it would be good to get to this corner here by the end of the turn. But we also don't want to waste our moves. Like, we want to use our moves, especially at this early stage, to explore a bit. So we're going to be exploring out in this direction. So it would probably be pretty good if we could start, seeing some of these corners around here. So I'll use some moves up to see this one. Now you can see when you go into a darkened area you don't know, it takes 5 movement just to get in there. Whereas a place that you've already been is only 1 movement. So what we'll do is we'll use up our 7 as best we can to see more corners, but then still be close to where we want to be. So we're going to go across to here, and this will take us to 7. Open up that corner. Now you'll see nothing was on that corner, there's no businesses, so kind of useful piece of information. In any case, that's the end of that turn, and we'll move to the next. Alright, so new turn, and you can see there's a whole bunch of new notices. So in the DLC, that's the political DLC, you can see there's these ones here which are essentially the current city laws, which basically provide buffs or debuffs to the game. So the ones that are in effect for this game are this one's Election Fairness Act, which is can you bribe politicians, and this just makes it more expensive for these to happen. Vehicle taxes, well, that's kind of obvious, it's going to make vehicles more expensive. Apple juice ban. This essentially means that large amounts of apple juice, so this is one of the inputs for cider, is going to be made illegal in large quantities. But what that really means is that you need to have better trust with people to get it, because it's illegal to give it. And then ceramic subsidies, it just means that ceramic crocs are going to be significantly or somewhat cheaper. So in this screen here you can look at which ones could happen in this city and which ones are enacted. So every year after the elections or every so often after elections, these things can be changed if you have enough influence. So we'll just get rid of those notices. When you see new resources or get new resources, so they're produced or you come across them for the first time to buy, they appear up here. So this is the labels that we have in our starting property. We've obviously found some corn syrup somewhere, and somebody is selling grapes. This one talks just about the election cycle. Because we don't have anywhere near the sorts of money that you would need to influence that, we'll just ignore that for now. But it goes in phases, and this just tells you a phase is beginning. And then we've met some local troublemakers. Now let's have a look where these are. Okay, so a bit further north of our position we've got the Boyd Boys. And we're not particularly friends. They like brawling. So maybe we can talk a little bit about... No, we'll do that later. Let's continue playing for a little bit. So plan is to get across here and see if we can find some more places to sell things. So let's go do that. So if we go to Meatside Park and Grocery, again it's here under the favours menu. And then what we say is this top one, do you know anyone buying what we've got or the sale or anything selling? And so we click on that and they say you should meet Betty. You're going to tell me more. And now they'll highlight where that is. Now sometimes it's a very long way away and say not worth it, but in this case it's nice and close, so we can click on that. One of the good things when you use a favour to connect with someone is it does expose that corner as a known location, so it kind of saves you some travel. So sometimes it's worth doing just to kind of open up the map and make it a bit easier for you. So that's great. So we press Z, we'll see what it is, and so Betty's actually moonshine. So she's got moonshine. We've also got one up here that knows where we're doing, so our front as well. So I might take the opportunity to use that. So we'll go into the favours. What do you know? My friend Joe. Okay, tell us about your friend Joe. Let's see what Joe's doing. He's doing moonshine as well. Okay, so it looks like we want to go pick up some moonshine. So to do that, we'll go back to our right click, back to move to our property, shift left click, and that opens up the inventory. And we're going to put away the brick line for the moment and take the moonshine. And then how easy is it going to be to get to either of these moonshines? Okay, we can't easily get to either of the moonshines, but what I'm going to do is go over this way for two reasons. One is I can use up one of my actions exploring a business, and the second one is this person knows somebody else who might trade, because we're probably going to be looking for brick wine as well. Actually, we've still got another person they know, so let's use up our action doing that. Okay, we've got someone over here who's going to be good. Okay, and they're in brick wine. Alright, that's good. Let's go this way then. Alright, and we're at the end of the turn again, and this is just notifications of the people that we've met. And of course we saw the boys before. Alright, so now we've got a notification here that says Willard Russell has gained experience from all the hard work. So you get experience for driving, combat, selling items, any of those sorts of things, bribing police. So all of these create experience for the player. So if we look at the crew member, we can now see under experience it's got nothing at the moment. Now we're going to pick something for Russell Willard. Now he's at the moment got 3 actions and 10 for driving. We haven't really got anyone we need to fight at the moment. So at this stage, while we're still exploring, I think efficient drive is going to be better. So that'll give us 2 more movement points to move around. So we'll do that. So let's move across and sell some stuff. So we've got to spend 5 to get to this unknown corner, which ironically has nothing, no businesses on it. And then we'll go 1 more across here to Joe's corner. So we know this guy is going to sell to us. So to get into the sale menu is the same as getting into the inventory menu for your own. So if you hold shift and left click, we'll get you straight into the selling menu. So what do we want to sell? We want to sell moonshine. Now we want to make sure we get a better price in this early part. So same as before, we're going to talk about the cost and we'll go for 20% over market price. So now we get 24 and we'll see how much they want. So 13. Moonshine tends to be higher margin, lower volume, which is kind of good when you don't have lots of carry capacity in your car. But neutral alcohol can be a bit of a bother to get. Anyway, so let's also use our favour while we're here to see who else. Yeah, they're miles away, but I guess we'll do it because we've got the favour. Oh, it's brick wine. It's a long way to go for brick wine. And then we, on our way back, we'll use our action point to. He still knows someone. Okay, let's do that. Okay, let's see who we've got. Yeah, somebody else all the way over in Timbuktu. All right. Okay, so now we need to go back and we will, I guess, grab brick wine because we're about to head south and do that. Out of moves again. All right, so no notifications. I was wondering where they'd all gone, but obviously nothing's happened this turn. So we've got the brick wine to sell down here, so let's go and do that. And we shift left click and we say, hey, we want to sell brick wine. Again, we're going to try and get the best price possible. The good news is once you've used up that favour to get the best price possible, you can always sell for that improved price until you decide to change it, which you never would. Why wouldn't you do it? Well, you might not do it because first of all you don't have the favour, so it's not possible to do it. The other reason you might do it is because you want to use their high opinion. Say you want to buy a building later on. If you go below 20 opinion, you can't buy it off them, so you might not press for the price for that reason, because you want to buy a building from there. So we're going to sell 13 crops of wine to them. And we've got Betty down here, I think. This person still knows someone who might, so we'll take the opportunity to do that too. Oh, they're in Timbuktu as well. Okay. So there's a moonshine, very large moonshine business available to somebody if they want it over that way, isn't there? So we'll now go into the sales menu here. We want to sell moonshine and we want it for the best price possible. Okay, they've got quite a bit of volume. So different vendors will have higher or lesser needs. Like each week they will replenish their requirement as they sell off their items. So some might have, say, a total capacity of 35 and they regenerate or they sell 7 every week. So that means after 5 weeks you can sell them 35 crocs of product. Other people have smaller needs and so they might only have 15 over 5 weeks. So even though it says here, you know, we've got the hand washing chrysanthemum hand washing buyers brick wine, and we've got Park laundromat buyers brick wine, they might require different volumes. So some are more valuable than others to keep control of. So you just need to watch that. So we've got still some brick wine to sell, and I'm just looking here if anyone we know knows where that brick wine might be able to be sold. So these guys over here, ironically, it's a very long way. So you're talking 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. You're going to have to spend 25. So basically 2 turns to get down there, but maybe it's worth it. If we're going to start that journey, we want to start it soon. How much money have we got? Okay, so we've got 1,108, which means we do have enough to set up a business. So if we go into our property, I click different tabs here. This is what it produces. This one is obviously the storage, which we've been in. And now if you have a look, there's this one here, which is the back room, I guess, your back room business. So you click on that and you can click here to look at what you can set up. So probably 2 different types of businesses we could set up. One would be moonshine and the other one would be brick wine. Now brick wine requires as an input grape concentrate. Moonshine requires neutral alcohol. So we could set up either of those businesses, because if you look, we've kind of got, well, there's 2 and 2 in our local area, and over here there's 1, so I don't know which, I don't think it really matters which way it goes, but what we do want to do is make sure that we've got the inputs, because if we don't have the inputs it's very hard to make the product. So if you press X on the keyboard, or up here the info overlays, we press X, sorry, let me say that again, we press Z and we clear away, so we turn off our favourites or toggle away our favourites. Let's have a look at grape concentrate. So currently we don't know of anywhere where there's grape concentrate, and neutral alcohol, we currently don't know anywhere there's neutral alcohol. So this is pretty risky setting up a business one way or the other. So we've got a few options to try and work that out. We can either go ahead and just start exploring, which is not a bad idea, or you can just take a bit of a punt and see whether or not you get a mission that will enable you to get your hands on it. Now if I was going to take a punt, I would probably go for moonshine, just because with moonshine the requirements for input materials is smaller because it's lower volume but higher profit, which is a preference. But let's see. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to grab us our brick wine, the rest of our brick wine, and we will make our way all the way back over the map to where we know we can sell some. and we'll use it as an opportunity to explore and go from there. Well, before we do that, that'll probably do it for this episode. When we come back, we'll do those long trips and see how we go at setting up our first business. Thanks for watching, and we'll be back with another episode soon.